It is without question the most remarkable substance on the planet, and unless you can prove otherwise, the most incredible substance in the universe. Water. H2O, liquid gold, however you reference it, water on this big blue planet equals life. Water is truly unique. It is the only substance on the planet that can exist in three forms. Water is a liquid, what we drink, a solid, ice, and a gas, vapor, such as steam or evaporation. Water on the planet is always moving, thus the term water cycle. Before we get to this cycle, let's get a better understanding of water itself. In simple terms, this magical compound is nearly timeless, with some scientists saying all water on the planet is more than 4 billion years old. We have the water we started with. No new water is being created, and no water is being destroyed. The only water to leave the planets was removed by our astronauts. So, in the simplest of terms, water has been and always will be recycled. You and I may do a little bit, but it's the planet that does the actual heavy lifting. Think of the water cycle as a ring. We really don't know where it begins or ends. So, for the purposes of this report, let's start here at the ocean. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Our oceans hold about 97% of all water on the planet. Only 3% is considered fresh water. Almost 69% of that small 3% is locked up in ice or glaciers. 30% is underground, leaving only about 1% of the planet's total supply of water in lakes and rivers. So how does all that water in the ocean get to land? In a word, the word is evaporation. Evaporation drives the water cycle. All bodies of water combined supply about 90% of the moisture in the atmosphere. Oh, the other 10% comes from plants. The sun hits the water and turns the surface layer into a vapor. The lighter-than-air gas rises skyward. Cooler air helps the tiny gas particles to form clouds. You can actually watch evaporation at work by creating a water puddle on the sidewalk. Mark the area with chalk. Come back later and you'll see that some, if not all of the water, is gone. Well, not gone. It's really transformed into a gas. It evaporated. So now the water that was once a liquid has been transported into the atmosphere. How do we get it back? Precipitation. Rain, snow, or hail. How does it fall back to Earth? This time the key is condensation. What does condensation look like? Well, fog is a good example. In the atmosphere, the minuscule bits of water vapor begin to collide. As they do, they grow larger. As the air cools in the upper atmosphere, condensation overtakes evaporation, and the water is returned to the surface. What doesn't fall back into the ocean falls on land. Some of that precipitation runs off back into our lakes, rivers, and again, rivers will recontribute to the ocean. As the precipitation falls, some gets soaked into the soil and returns to the groundwater. Water in lakes and rivers also soaks in and feeds the natural underground reservoirs. Earlier we said water is always moving, so even the pockets of groundwater move, with much of it, over a long period of time, ending up back into, yep, you got it, the ocean. And that cycle repeats over and over. One other point, if I may. If this dollar represents all of the water on the planet, then this penny represents the amount of fresh water. This is very precious. Now, the water itself is free, a gift of nature. But transporting that precious water long distances to your home is expensive. And that, my friends, is another story. For the Otay Water District, I'm Leonard Villarreal.